Today is the day where I finally get to show you guys the official look of Set 1, The Beginnings. Stay tuned for the rest of the video. Hey YouTube, Tyler here with the KingdomsTCG, and I want to thank you for clicking on this video. Go ahead, like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do so that way you can stay in touch to what I'm doing, hopefully on a weekly basis, giving you videos talking about the Kingdoms trading card game. With that, I'm going to go ahead and go to my attempt at some B-roll showing you Set 1 The Beginnings, and eventually we'll be breaking down what it looks like. So enjoy. So like I said, this is Set 1, The Beginnings. Now in Set 1, there's a couple things I want to break down, just give you guys some stats on what is in Set 1 of The Beginnings. In Set 1, The Beginnings, there are 3 starter decks, 3 kingdoms, named Linford, Estercrest, and Furbish. There are 6 total game mats that you can buy. Each game mat is either a flag of each kingdom or a city picture of each kingdom. There is 132 total cards that you can get in Set 1, and besides the starter deck, another way that you can use to get the cards is through booster packs. In booster packs, they come with 18 cards total, and then if you buy the booster box, you get 2 special booster packs which have a better chance of getting even better cards that are found in Set 1, The Beginnings. I'm going to be turning the camera back down into the game mat so that way I can start to break down what are in the 3 starter decks and give you guys a general idea, so that way when you go to the game crafter you know exactly which product you want to buy. So here are the 3 starter decks that you can get in Set 1, The Beginnings: Estercrest, Furbish, and Linford. Now I know I have exclusively been using Furbish for a lot of the videos, so I will not start with them, just so that way you guys can get a taste of what the other 2 kingdoms are like. So just for starting purposes, I guess we will jump right into Estercrest. Estercrest, there is their flag. There you can see it a little bit better. And on the deck box, it gives you a couple images of what cards are in this particular deck, or fortress as we call it in the game of Kingdoms. Also on the back, it gives you a little bit of the lore, and it also tells you what is in the contents of the starter deck. For all 3 of the starter decks that are in the game so far, it comes with a 40 card deck, it comes with a 5 card sacred deck, it comes with 1 rule book, it comes with 2 cards to help you track your sacred health as well as your magicka, and then it also comes with 1 random card, all from Set 1. And actually I got pretty lucky with the 3 starter decks that I got. Actually, in the Estercrest starter deck, I got the other Estercrest legend card, which is an ultra rare, which was pretty cool to get. So that was kind of cool. So if you happen to be fortunate by the Estercrest starter deck and you get that card, you just happen to luck out that much more. On the front of each starter deck, we'll have a picture of what that kingdom looks like. In Estercrest, they are a mountain kingdom. And just to kind of give you guys an idea of what Estercrest is, I have 3 cards that I've set aside to kind of give you an idea of what what they kind of do, what the whole idea of, or the play style is of them, if you will. So your first card that you have is Tulsa Guardsman. Tulsa Guardsman is a phase 2 cost 6 human battle card with a 300/500 stat, and it has the ability defensive. Now what that means is that when this card is on the field, your opponent must attack this card before they can attack your other battle cards or your sacred. So it is that is what Estercrest is known for, is their defensive abilities. Estercrest maintains a good board presence, and they rely on their sacreds they have as well for good abilities. But Estercrest really tries to lock down the board, make sure there's a good board presence, and makes it hard for your opponent to attack their sacred and eliminate them. So this is Tulsa Guardsman. Another card in the deck is called Defender. Defender is a phase 1 cost 4 human battle card with the stats 200/300. And Estercrest likes to deal with your opponent's hand a little bit, and what they like to do is, like for this card for example, making their opponent shuffle a card back into their fortress, which they'll eventually be able to get that card back, but to at least get rid of that card and put it back in their fortress for a little bit, that's pretty good. And then they do have their form of a beater, or something that can somewhat keep them in the game when it comes to attacking and defending, and that is Mountain Yeti. Mountain Yeti is a phase 2 cost 5, a 600/500, so he is a excellent phase 2 card for Estercrest. Estercrest, because they are a Tanis kingdom, which Tanis is indicated by that logo in the upper right corner, they tend to have stats that they have a greater health and a lower attack. So Mountain Yeti is kind of an oddball card, where it gives them that ability to have that firepower that they are lacking. So that is Estercrest. Estercrest has the orange flag, which showing my wife a couple times, because I like to bother her with my card game quite a bit. She thought it looked like a butt crack, unfortunately, but you know what, I was like, I'm sticking with it. I've already drawn it, and some part of me likes it. That doesn't mean I like butt cracks for any reason, but that besides the point. So that is the Kingdom of Estercrest. Moving on to the Kingdom of Linford. Linford is an aggressive kingdom. They are fast-paced. They don't maintain a very good board presence, but that does not certainly mean that they are not a good kingdom. In the number of tests that I've done personally, and also the number of tournaments that I've hosted so far with some of my buddies here in the area, Estercrest and Linford always tend to be the top 2 decks. Again, the Linford deck showcases a couple cards that are in the deck and that you can also get that are still out there in set 1, the beginnings, that you can get in the booster packs. And a couple of the cards that I have set aside are just kind of giving you an idea of how this deck works. So the first card I'll show is Hawk. Hawk is a phase 1 cost 3 animal battle card. 200/200, so just very basic stats, but what makes it good is that it can give another battle card Rage. Now Rage is an ability where if a battle card has Rage, they can attack twice if they want to in the same turn, but if they do, that card dies. And Linford, being a Borum kingdom, Borum being the spirit logo in the upper right corner, they tend to focus on aggression and attacking. So if you have a really good card that has a lot of attack but doesn't have Rage, you can essentially double how much it can hit with Hawk by giving that card Rage. So that's a pretty good card. Kind of one of the main engines, or the second engine you could say, for the Kingdom of Linford is Frontman. I showed this card in a couple videos ago. Phase 1 cost 4 human battle card, 300/100, so very low health. So, and it does have a Rage ability and it also says that if Frontman is sent to the graveyard because of battle, you get +1 Magicka on your next turn. And so with a card like this, because it's a Borum Kingdom card it's a Borum Spirit affiliated card of the Kingdom of Linford, you have to decide, because he only has 100 health, do you want to risk him dying on the next turn and you not using your Rage ability and potentially dealing a total of 600 damage in all, or are you going to try to keep him for one more turn? But at least with this, if he dies, you do get +1 Magicka, which helps fuel your turns and what you're trying to do. Lastly is Lancer. Lancer is probably one of the better cards in the game so far. He's a phase 1, cost 5, 700, 300, and basically the idea is that when he's called to the field, which means he's played onto the field, you get to search your fortress for a Linford battle card that costs 3 magicka or less and put it into your hand. So Lancer is a very good card, not only to have out on the field, but also to start searching your fortress to start generating better plays. I will share this real quick, even though I'm going to be going into greater strategy details in next week's video. You know, you could search out Hawk, for example, and then if you can give Lancer the rage ability, all of a sudden you have the potential to swing at your opponent's sacred for 1400 health. So I just want to throw that out there. So that is the Kingdom of Linford. Lastly, and as all you know, is the Kingdom of Furbish. Again, the picture of the kingdom itself on there. Furbish is a Marif spirit affiliated kingdom, which is indicated by the star logo here on the box and also on the cards. The 3 cards that I'm going to showcase from this deck are Prison Guard, which I have shown in multiple videos, Council Board Member, and Furbish Counselor. So Prison Guard I'll go over very briefly. Phase 1, cost 3, 300, 200 for the stats. It's a human, and he has Silence 1. Silence 1, basically the ability is Silence X, and what happens is when a battle card is called to the field, depending on what silence ability it has. Prison Guard, for example, has Silence 1. When it is called to the field, you get to choose an opponent's battle card or legend, and that opponent cannot attack with them on their next attack phase. So that is Prison Guard. Council Board Member is probably one of the best search cards so far in the game, I would argue, though its stats itself are not very good because it's a phase 1, cost 3, and it's only a 100/100. But what this card allows the Furbish player to do is essentially play this card to the field, and then they get to reveal cards through their fortress until they get to a battle card. And if their battle card that they reveal is a sacred phase of the sacred phase that that player is currently in, they can free play this card. So when you are in sacred phase 3 especially, this card is probably one of the most powerful search cards that you can have in the game. Next is Furbish Counselor. Furbish Counselor is Furbish's way of generating magicka per turn. So it is a phase 1, cost 4, 200, 200, but it has a lot of things that it does. So firstly, when this card comes to the field, you get to give another battle card plus 100, plus 0. So that's good, just an extra attack. But it has an ability called Gift 2 and Impact 2. Gift X is an ability where a card gives you X amount of magicka every single turn. And in this case, for Furbish, man, I cannot say it, Furbish Counselor gives you plus 2 magicka every single turn. Impact X is an ability where once per turn you can use an impact ability, depending on the cost, in this case 2, to do what that ability says. And so for this one, you get to remove Furbish Counselor from the field when your opponent enters their attack phase. So essentially what Furbish Counselor is doing, again, I'll go into greater detail come next week's video, is you're trying to set yourself up for a more explosive turn. And that is the Kingdom of Furbish. So in short, just to kind of summarize what these 3 decks do and kind of the general themes of them, Estercrest, their main ability is defensive, meaning that if a battle card or legend has defensive, your opponent has to attack that card first before they can attack any other cards or your sacred. Estercrest has a very good board presence, and they really are trying to maintain a good board presence and lock their opponent from making any serious moves. Linford's main ability is Rage. Rage allows a battle card or legend to attack twice in one turn if they choose to. If they do attack twice in one turn, however, that card is destroyed. Linford does not maintain a very good board presence, but they are fast attacking, so they can swoop in for a pretty fast attack and possibly win the game pretty fast. Furbish, their ability is Silence X, and then depending on what the number is the number of cards that there's the number of battle cards and or legends that can be prevented from attacking on that that opponent's turn. Furbish their goal is to work towards setting up good combinations to hopefully have explosive turns when they finally can, and in the midst of doing that, trying to slow their opponent down so that way they can stay in the game. Real briefly, I want to give a couple mentions of some neutral cards that are out in Set 1 The Beginnings that you might want to look for if you buy booster packs or whatever that you want to try to add into your starter deck. and also when you're trying to make your own custom deck. So for example, here we have Elite Archer and Town Bum. Elite Archer is just a good general attacking card that can go in any deck. Town Bum would be a good card to have if you're trying to make a deck that's very trolly or messing with your opponents. When it comes to some spells, you have spells like Rest from Warfare, which prevents opponents from attacking. You have Surplus and Connection, which give you Magicka bonuses, which are super good. You have Written Law, which this card, if you are a Furbished player, this is an excellent card to have, especially when you're playing against Estercrest and Linford, because it can really stop their abilities of Defensive and Rage. For Linford and Estercrest players, it can stop silence, but it's best for the Furbished player. Just want to point that out. You have cards like Second Chance, so if you have a weaker battle card, you can try attacking with it twice if you want to. And then you also have Wishing Well, because you might have a sacred card that has been destroyed, but its effect and ability was really good, so you want to use that one more time. These are two pretty good tokens in the game. You have 4, which, of no surprise, gives you +4 Magicka per turn. So if you are trying to set up explosive turns, or you have some really high Magicka costing cards in your hand, this gives you the chance to maybe play those cards. Master's Table is another pretty good token. It also gives you +4 Magicka with the gift 4 ability, as you see, and it just has a couple stipulations of how long it takes you to give that Magicka bonus, but another very good token card to have. And then just one sacred that I want to point out is a card called Ruins. Ruins is, again, maybe a good card for someone that's trying to make a trolley deck or trying to stall your opponents, where all players have -1 Magicka, so definitely a good sacred to look out for. And now is the time of the video where I like to do a quick devotional just to share my faith, because it is something that is very important to me. So I'm going to be reading from the book of Ecclesiastes, and I'm going to be putting it up right on the screen for you guys. So specifically, I'm going to be reading from Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13, and this is what it says. When all has been heard, the conclusion of the matter is, fear God and keep his commands, because this is for all humanity. The reason why I wanted to share this verse is because my family went on vacation last year for about a week, and I decided to make it my goal to study the book of Ecclesiastes while I was on that week-long vacation. So every morning I would read through the whole entire book, taking notes, getting general themes and ideas of what the book was talking about. And the whole book, the idea of it was basically that us humans are on this world, and the fact of the matter is that even if you do believe in God, even if you do believe in Jesus, you still have things in the world that you have to worry about. You have to work. You have to make money to live. You have to do things in order to survive. But you also have things that you're doing to enjoy yourself. You can play games, music, hanging out with friends, and doing all that jazz. And so when I was reading through the book of Ecclesiastes, I was trying to figure out, is this stuff okay? And the book of Ecclesiastes makes it quite clear that yes, all of this stuff is okay. Doing this card game is okay. Playing music is okay. Enjoying yourself is okay. God gave you those things to enjoy those things. But as this verse points out, it is making it quite clear that at the end of the day, the whole purpose of life is to ultimately fear God and serve God and love God and do what he wants you to do, and ultimately live a life that is worshiping God and focused on him. That's the number one focus of Christianity, is to focus on God before we focus on ourselves. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Stay tuned for next week, where I'm going to be breaking down the starter decks even more and giving you guys the strategies for how the decks work and giving you a breakdown of what is in each starter deck, and hopefully further provoking you to decide on which starter deck it is that you want to buy. Thanks for watching.